Hi Beatle people, welcome back to A Beatleful Life. So today's video is going to be a magazine look-through video. We're going to be taking a look at Paul's recent interview with British GQ magazine. He's the cover star for their September issue this year. And we're going to take a look at all the photos too that his daughter Mary took for his sort of stay-at-home photo shoot. So let's get started. Alright, so I want to mention, I got this magazine online because they don't sell British GQ on any stands here in the US as far as I know. I bought this from a website called Your Celebrity Magazines. I'm going to leave a link in the description if you want to buy your own copy. I will also leave a link to this entire interview on GQ's website so you can read it for yourself. Alright, so take a look at this picture here. All these pictures were taken by Paul's daughter Mary. Now this one here has got to be my favorite from this photo shoot. This may be one of my favorite pictures of Paul ever. And you can see he's standing in front of his Land Rover Helen Wheels, which he bought in 1970. So I'm just going to, I think, skim through some parts of the interview, just highlighting some points, and we're obviously going to look at the photos too. So he first talks about how his experience has been being in quarantine or in lockdown because of the pandemic. And he basically says that it's actually been going well for him. He's been spending time with Nancy and Mary and his grandkids, and he's been writing some songs as well. It would be cool if he dropped a surprise album. I don't know if that's something he would do, but I'm a Taylor Swift fan, and she recently dropped a surprise album that she worked on in secret when she was, quarantined. So I think that would be cool. But it's cool to think either way that Paul is working on some new songs. And then he talks a little bit about how he's unsure about the future of the music industry and, what the pandemic means for live music. And he wonders if it means the end of live concerts. Hopefully not. You can see here this guitar that he's holding in this picture is the one that he played for the 4 or 5 seconds music video. So here's a nice little thing he mentions here. He talks about how when he visits Liverpool, he flies into the John Lennon Airport. And then he talks a little bit about the carpool karaoke special and what that was like and how he, got to tell James about all these places that he spent time at when he was growing up in Liverpool. And he talks about how he was a little apprehensive to visit his childhood home with James, but then he ended up thinking it was really cool, and he loved telling him all the stories about his house. So he talks here about this little piece of film of Liverpool fans singing She Loves You. I think that may be included in the 8 Days a Week, The Touring Years movie. I'm not positive that that's the same clip, but there's something similar to that in the film. Then he's asked here what his best guitar solo is, and he mentions Taxman, of course, and then he talks about the track from Egypt Station, C-Link, although he doesn't mention it by name. I think Hunt You Down, Naked, C-Link, that whole trio, if you will, is one of my favorite songs on Egypt Station, if you consider that whole thing a song. It's hard to believe now we're coming up on 2 years since Egypt Station was released. And he mentions here that his favorite guitar that he has is the one that he used to play the Taxman solo, and the riff on Paperback Writer as well. And here he mentions that he saw John a lot more before his passing than most people realize, that they settled their family squabble, as he says. And then he talks about the importance of the Black Lives Matter campaign. This is a funny part here. He says regarding the episode of The Simpsons where Lisa becomes a vegetarian, he says, "We were a bit worried that she would be a vegetarian for a week, then Homer would persuade her to eat a hot dog. The producers of the program assured us that she would remain that way, and they kept their word." So again, I'm going to put this whole interview in the description, so I'm not going to read this entire thing out to you, of course, but in here he talks about some nice memories that he has with George, you know, hitchhiking with him, persuading him to go hitchhiking, and this part here, how they would buy some creamed rice at the store and eat it on the side of the road. In this part here, he says that he doesn't often read books about the Beatles because, you know, in case there's sometimes mistakes in them. And he's asked here if he prefers the red or blue album, compilation albums. I personally prefer the red one, but he says he prefers the white one. And then here he mentions there was kind of a misconception that all the Beatles hated each other after their breakup. I think he talked about that in his interview with Stephen Colbert last year. You can see in this picture he is wearing all Stella McCartney clothes. So over here he talks a little bit about the depression that he experienced after the Beatles broke up and how he basically had to pull himself out of it, kind of in the same way that Linda pulled herself out of her depression. And he says here how he didn't let John's song "How Do You Sleep" get to him, and in the way that John said that all he ever did was yesterday, and he reminded himself about, you know, all the other great songs that he wrote as well. Down here he talks about working with Lady Gaga. I wonder whatever became of that, because there was supposed to be, I thought, some kind of collaboration. I remember seeing a photo of the two of them together, I think in the studio. I don't know whatever became of that. This is another photo I really love from this photo shoot. It's probably my second favorite one. He's talking about the differences between fame in the 60s and now. And he talks about social media and how it doesn't really appeal to him because, like, on Instagram, for instance, like, you have to kind of come up with a witty caption for everything, and that doesn't appeal to him at all. But he does say that he, like, dips into social media sometimes when it's, like, someone's birthday or someone has passed away. So he does sometimes write things for his pages. But he says mostly it's his team. But we, of course, knew that. And he says, you know, the whole social media thing doesn't appeal to him, and he would rather just go off in a corner and try to write a song. And he mentions here about how he doesn't like the fact that, you know, people always publicize everything they're doing on social media. Like, he doesn't find anything appealing about telling people what restaurant he was eating at or where he was eating or anything, because that kind of takes away from him having a private life. So here he mentions how he doesn't do pictures with fans typically. He prefers to chit-chat with them instead. You can see, you know what I always say, it reminds me of the south of France. Come and have your picture taken with the monkey. Suddenly I'm that. I've got to be myself. So he says he prefers chit-chat because he likes to feel ordinary. It's very important to him to feel ordinary. He talks here about how he had just a casual conversation with somebody on the bus. He says here, being ordinary, I love that. It means a lot to me. Maybe too much to me. I wouldn't have wanted to get on the bus and sort of announce myself, "Hi, it's Paul McCartney. What do you think of me?" I could no more do that than fly. So as far as the rest of the magazine goes, there's some fashion stuff, some political articles, some product recommendations. You can see on these pages. But of course, I mainly purchased this for the Paul interview because this is a men's magazine, so obviously it's not going to be something that I'm particularly interested in. But you can see here that you can get a digital edition of British GQ. I believe for in the US, Barnes & Noble has British GQ available digitally. They just don't have physical copies. At least I don't think so. I checked my local store and they didn't have it. They did have British Vogue though. So again, I will put the link to this in the description below so you can get your own copy, and I'll also link the interview below as well. Alright, Beatle people, that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite photo is from this photo shoot, or what your favorite part of the interview is, or both. But I want to say thank you very much for watching, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more things like this. I do want to mention my video on the Beatles Lego set will be coming next week. I intended to post it this week, but building the portraits is just taking a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I'm having fun with it, so that video will be coming next week. So again, thank you for watching. My blog and social media will be linked below, so you can check those out if you want. And as always, have a beautiful day, everybody. Bye-bye.